What is up, beautiful people? This is your girl, Nicole Denise, and we are back. And I feel like Lil' Kim. I've been gone for a minute, but I'm back with the jump off. Goons in the club, case something jumps off, but not so aggressive. But seriously, I'm happy to be back doing another sit-down video. How are y'all doing? And number one, after you answer that question in the comment section, also answer this question. Are you subscribed? And if you're not subscribed, you got to do something about that today, baby. Go ahead and click the subscribe button. It is free 99, okay? So go ahead and click that button, and we're going to get into today's video. So today I'm here to talk about a subject that kind of is like reoccurring in my life. And I think it's reoccurring in everybody's life if they're honest with themselves. And what sparked this most recent reoccurrence was a session I was having with my therapist where she was like, well, what is your definition of success? And I've kind of grown to hate that question because it's so hard for me to it's so hard for me to describe. Until recently, when I really sat with myself and was like, girl, it's not hard for you to describe. It's just that your definition doesn't sound like other people's definition. So it's a part of you that feel like your definition of success is wrong. Okay. And I know that I'm not alone in this feeling or these emotions. So I decided to come on here. And basically what we're going to talk about today is redefining adulthood as a Black woman. And for me, success and adulthood, they were kind of synonymous to one another for me, which is why it was so hard for me to explain or define what I thought success was, because I was out here trying to figure out what an adult was by my own definition, because every day I be feeling like I'm winging it, but I feel like that is the definition of adulthood, because our parents, they didn't know what the hell they was doing either. And regardless of what place we hold in our memory of our parents, as far as them like making a way out of no way or figuring things out or taking care of us and keeping us alive, you know, at the end of the day, they were young people, or they were middle-aged people, or they were older people still trying to figure out how you do this thing called life. So I think that it's really important that we formulate and live by our definition of adulthood. So journey with me as we redefine adulthood and be able to articulate it in our own way so that we can be, you know, better, happier, more well-rounded people, especially as Black women as we are existing in this world. So here is what I think. This is my working definition of adulthood right now for me as a Black woman. So I have my handy dandy notes right here because I wanted to make sure that I hit certain points for my definitions of adulthood. And the first one is actually, I stole it. I took it from somebody else. And what I mean by stole it is, one of my favorite books is The 4 Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. And one of the 4 agreements is be impeccable with your word. And that is an agreement that I immediately identified with. There are other ones too, like don't take nothing personal. That has also revolutionized my life, not taking things personal. But being impeccable with my word is definitely a part of my definition of adulthood. And what I mean by that specifically is I let my yeses be my yes and my no's be my no. And I also feel like when you say yes and no, adulthood is really a culmination of decision making. So I think that's what it really means to be an adult, is to make your own decisions. And I think that's the thing as children we were so ready for, and just like, oh, I'm gonna be able to do what I want to do. And I think do what I want to do was really like, I'm gonna be able to make my own decisions for myself. Number one, making your own decisions is not all that you believed it was when you were a child. Like, adulting is ghetto sometimes, and sometimes making decisions is the hardest part. Like, from the smallest things, like what am I going to eat, what am I going to wear, to where am I going to work, to what am I going to say, to how I'm going to be, how I'm going to show up in this world. What do I want my legacy to be? Like, these are all questions that decisions have to be made for, you know? And sometimes I feel like as an adult, especially for me, I get decision overload, which means I don't do anything, which is also a decision. People don't realize that. People think, oh, I just didn't do anything. That is a decision. So I am learning to be very strategic and impeccable with my word. So if I say yes, then it's a yes and I show up. If I say no, then it's a no, and I'm okay with that. You get what I'm saying? So I think one thing I did in my childhood and in my very young adult years was that I would just say yes for the sake of being likable. I wanted everybody to like me. I wanted to be loved, and I wanted to be, you know, included, and you know, all the things, because we all need community, we all need love, and we want to just be accepted, you know. But I also realized too that sometimes some of those yeses neglected my true choice or my true desires, and that's not okay with me anymore, especially at this stage in my life. So yes, the number one rule for adulthood for me and redefining what I believe adulthood is that I am impeccable with my word. So the next two things are like more practical, like when I start dealing with like the practicality of adulthood. And the first one is stable living conditions. So under the stable living conditions umbrella, I would include comfortable shelter wherever in the world that may be. That's specific to me. And then steady income, not necessarily a steady job. So I'm going to go over each of those points separately. So the first one, comfortable shelter wherever in the world that may be. So I used to be very like, I drank the Kool-Aid and the dream that they sold me, which was like, I'm going to settle down. I'm going to have a husband. I'm going to have kids. I'm going to have my dog. I'm going to have my white picket fence. You know, the American dream. I bought into it. I believed it. And then when it didn't happen for me, and when it hasn't happened for me in that way, I felt like I failed. So I felt like myself, me as an almost 40-year-old adult, had failed because I don't have those things that the American dream says I'm supposed to have in order to equate my success or in order to be a successful adult. So I felt like in a lot of ways I had failed until I realized, girl, you ain't never want that shit for real in the first place. So basically, I had to redefine what adulthood meant to me as far as my living conditions. And for me, what's very important to me as an adult is stable, comfortable shelter. And that could be anywhere in the world, because I like to be different places. I want to explore the world. I want to live in different countries. I want to live in different states and different cities for however long or however short period of time, you know. And I have friends that'll ask me, you know, when we talk, like, where are you now? Like, I had somebody ask me the other day, they were like, how's Georgia treating you? And I was like, girl, I'm not living in Georgia no more. And they had no idea. But at the same time, there was a version of me that would be very almost offended by that. Like, because I would be assuming that they would be thinking that I'm unstable by moving around so much. But for me, that's my norm. I love being in new places. If I get bored one place, I like going and living somewhere else and seeing if I like it. And then once I've weared out my welcome there, or I feel like going somewhere else, or the spirit moves me to move somewhere else, I can just move. I love that about me. I am a very let's see what happened kind of person. You know what I'm saying? And I still move strategically. It's not like haphazard, but I love being in new locations because I feel like I don't want to be the person who grew up in my hometown, was born, lived, and died in the same place. Like, that is just not, that's not my definition of life. And that's not my definition of adulthood. The second thing along with that is to have a stable and steady income, but not necessarily a stable and steady job. Okay. When I realized, when that came to me, I was like, that's it. So what I can appreciate about this generation is that they will quit a job. They don't give a damn. They be like, I don't like it, I'm out. And then generations before them, like my generation, millennials, and then those before me, they'll be like, oh, this generation has no discipline. They're all over the place. They're this, it'll be a whole bunch of criticism. But what I see it as is like, I'm not going to waste my time and or my life somewhere I don't want to be. And I think that is a great mentality to have. Like, we can argue on both sides, that it's very polarizing, I understand, but I see the positive in it. Like, I'm going to keep searching and finding a place I'm going to keep searching until I find a place where I'm happy or I like to be, because otherwise, what is life showing up to a place you don't want to be? And I think that my parents and my parents' generation, they taught us that you just stick with shit. Like, everybody hates their job. So that's just a part of life. And I never gel with that. Like, why I gotta hate my job? Like, why would I stay somewhere I don't like? So when I think about my extensive work history, I probably had over 16, and I'm not exaggerating, maybe 16 to 18, maybe 20 jobs before I actually became an entrepreneur. So my idea of adulthood and successful adulthood for me is just making sure I have a steady income, which means I have steady cash, which means I have steady money to pay for the things that I need: my shelter, my food, my clothing, my well-being, my entertainment, my fun, my travel. As long as I have a steady income that is morally okay with me, it don't have to look like a steady job that I clock into, or I have to have, I get a pension from, or I have 30 years invested. Like, that ain't even my personality. I be bored. I get bored with things and people and places. So I want to go. So it's just like, I like not being locked down. Now, as of late, my entrepreneurship journey has changed. It is changing and evolving. Because it's 10 years now since I've been an entrepreneur. And I be want to do other stuff. So I'm trying to see what that looks like. But even that, it's still like, I'm not committing years of my life to one thing. And I know for some people that rings unstable, or that rings like childish. But for me, that is a part of my definition of adulthood. As long as I have a steady income and I can take care of and provide for myself the things that I need, I'm good. I'm good. It don't have to look very regimented and scheduled out. And I don't have to have a schedule Monday through Friday. I'm doing this in order to call myself an adult. I'm an adult because I am taking care of myself. So the next one is exploration and travel. And I think that goes hand in hand with what I just said. When I have a very flexible income stream, like not income stream, but a very flexible job but I have a constant income stream, I can move about the world as I please, and I love that. And then also too, when I go back to what I thought the definition of adulthood was, with the husband and children and a white picket fence and this more white collar life or middle class life, I don't have those responsibilities. I don't have the kids. I don't have the husband. So I literally can go where I want to go. And I'm not saying that those things are not in my future. You know what I'm saying? But right now, where I am loving being able to go where I want to go, when I want to go, and not having to, think about other moving parts or other parties in my life, Some may call that selfish. That's okay. I've learned to deal with that that title, because I don't see selfishness as a negative thing anymore. But travel and exploration is so important to me, because I get inspired by new locations. I get inspired by conversations with new people. I get inspired by different cultures. I get inspired by just the world and seeing, like, I just don't feel like God made the world for me again, like I said earlier, to be born, live, and die in the same place. Like, I just think that's a waste. And not that I'm calling people that do that a waste. What I'm saying is, for me, that feels like a waste of my life. the energy, how I energetically feel about life and all the possibilities and things that I could see, I feel like that would be a waste and a disservice to myself as an adult to not go see what God has made. That's just me. So that is definitely a part of my definition of adulthood, is travel and exploration. So the next thing is, these two things go hand in hand too, because they kind of deal with my ideals about relationships and family and my interactions with other people, because no man is an island, and I can have very nomadic loner tendencies, which is cool. I enjoy my company. Like I tell my therapist, and she says it's so funny because a lot of people are like, you know, they have a problem like being quiet or being by themselves or being in silence. Like they run away from that. That makes them anxious. I feel like I'm the opposite. I be having issues being around people. And especially since the pandemic, child, I don't know. I be feeling more socially awkward than I've ever felt in my life. And I don't have social anxiety. I'm not afraid to meet new people. I'm not afraid to talk to people. But there is something since that like isolation of having to be isolated during the pandemic that like really, I don't know. It turned up my loner and nomadic tendencies to like 3,000, not even to 100, past 100. So I am slowly but surely, this sounds so woo-woo. I am slowly but surely trying to integrate myself back into society, which means I am slowly but surely trying to be social again. And my therapist has me doing all these like little exercises, like joining a Facebook group of with women that live in my city, going out and trying to do meetups, and basically meeting friends as an adult, which is so wild to me, and the concept seems so foreign. But then as of late, I really realized that yes, community is very important to me. Friendships are very important to me. Partnership is very important to me. And having great lovers or a lover is, but listen, I'm not opposed to plural, so that's why I said it like that the first time, is important to me. And in order to do that, I have to put myself out there and be social and talk to other people. Because yes, I am my best friend. Yes, I am my own lover. Yes, I'm all those things. Hold on, y'all, I dropped my phone. Yes, I am my business partner. Yes, all those things. Yes, yes, yes. But also too, and I want that from other people. I want to be in community with other people because I feel like iron sharpens iron. I feel like I become more alive when I'm around people, and I'm able to like test out some of these theories that be running through my head, or see who I really am, because a lot of times we don't find certain parts of ourselves until we're in relationships with people, until we're having romantic relationships with people, until we're having business strategic relationships with people, until we're having like platonic friendships with people. That's when we kind of learn different nuances about ourselves. So that's important to me. But I think the caveat of what I've learned and what I've added to my definition of community and community building is that online counts too. Because for a long time, I'm millennial, so I know the world without the internet. I remember when the internet used to come on a CD-ROM in the mail, and you had to put it in, and it dialed up and made all that noise before you would get on the website. And the only thing there was chat rooms. And then like before all of this stuff that is the norm now, social media and you being able to talk to people across the world, that was not a thing. So now that it is, I have actually made some really cool and strong connections with people online that I've never met face to face. Like we may have talked through video call and I've seen their face and they've talked to me, but we've made like connections with people online, and that counts. And that used to be a very weird concept to me, especially even things like online dating was weird to me. But I also remember when Lyft and Uber were weird to me, and they were giving out all those free credits when it first started. And I was like, wait, you want a stranger to come pick me up at my house and take me somewhere and they come? What is you talking about? But as the world evolves and as the world changes, so should our definitions of relationships and friendships. And I think sometimes people get so stuck in these ideals of things. Okay, this is how it has to be, and this is how it always was, and this is what my parents taught me, and this is how I grew up, and this is how I was raised. And it's just like, okay, that's cool. But a lot of times, sometimes those definitions are not even your definitions of community and relationships and love and friendships. Like, that's not even your real definitions. Those were definitions that were given to you. And because you feel like if you think for yourself, or if you create your own new definition, that you're tossing away or throwing away all those other ideals or those people that are attached to those ideals. And that is just not the case. You are just making your own life. You're living your own adulthood. So for me, adulthood includes community and relationships, online and offline. So that was a big part of it. The second part of that was also that some relationships are temporary and other ones are forever. And I think, especially as a child, and especially as the type of person that I am, sometimes it's so hard to like let go of things after their expiration date. And we've all been there. We've all held on to the lover too long, or held on to the friendship too long that was spoiled and way past its expiration date. But we was just like, no, that's my friend, or no, that's my man, or no, that's my girl, or no, that's my whatever it is that you're holding on to. Even business partnerships that we knew we should have let go a long time ago. In my definition of adulthood, I put that as a part of like community. Some things are forever and some things are temporary, and that is okay. And what I've learned by like adding that to my definition is that the ones that are temporary, I just remember them for what they were. I had a good time. We had a great time. I learned a lot. I became a new version of myself in order to go to the next stage. So I don't think of them as like begrudgingly. Like I listen to certain women, and certain people are like, oh, I hate my ex, or I would never talk to my ex. And I'm just like, all the people I've ever been in a relationship with, we're cool. It wouldn't be like I hate this person, but I'm like, some people have like these like huge grudges against them, and which is cool. Like, do your thing. If that's your thing, do it. I'm not calling you right or wrong, but I'm just saying it's very interesting to me, I guess, because like I said, I just realized that some things are temporary, and I just hold them for what they are. We had a good time while it lasted. So that's a part of my definition of adulthood as a Black woman. And we're getting closer to the end, but I have two more. And one is practical, and the other one, well, actually, okay, no, I have one more practical and then two more like spiritual things to add to my definition of adulthood. So the last practical one is proactive healthcare. That has become extremely important to me, especially in the past 2 to 3 years of my life. I was telling my in recent sessions with my therapist, she kind of asked me like, when because I've been going to the doctor and getting checkups and getting all these things done and tests run and stuff like that, just to be proactive about my health care. And she was like, well, when did you have conversations? Like, for example, when did your parents have conversations with you about health or, you know, going to the doctor and stuff like that? I was like, first of all, we went to the doctor, or they went to the doctor when something was wrong. Period. It was an emergency and they had to go. And then once you get into the emergency room, or once you're in the hospital, and then the doctor starts talking about all these diagnoses, things that they may have already known about, then we talked about it. So it was never proactive. It was always, it's an emergency, we got to put the fire out, and now in the moment, let's talk about it. So I always equated healthcare and doctors to emergency and or death. Those are the two things. So me making these appointments in my adulthood and in my adult life and saying that I want to take care of my health, you know, and maintain my health, has been so freaking traumatic, because I've always felt like if I'm going to the doctor or if I'm going to any health facility, anything medical related, there is something wrong with me. So first I had to undo that, because that was all the modeling that I had seen in my life done for me, that you go to the doctor when something is wrong. You don't go to the doctor just to, maintain your wellness. So I started changing that for myself. Like when I went and got all my dental work done, when I went and, just started going to the doctor regularly. More recently, I had a mammogram done, which came back great results. I was happy about that. I had a CT scan. I had blood work done. I had a whole bunch of things done, because I am very, first of all, interested in knowing what's going on with my body. And second of all, there are a few ailments that I'm kind of like leery about, and I just want more education on them. Because, listen, if I go on WebMD or Google myself, it's going to tell me I'm dying, and that's going to freak me out even more. So I might as well go to a professional. And one thing that has really helped me too, as I go on this like proactive healthcare journey, is that remembering that I'm in charge. If I don't like these doctors, or they're saying some shit to me like the reason why you have this ailment is because you're fat, and not on some, yes, obesity does lead to certain things, but on some, if your arm is falling off, I'm just going to tell you you're fat, because I've dealt with doctors like that too. I fire their ass. Okay? I'm in charge. And being empowered like that, and being my own advocate, especially when it comes to my healthcare, my proactive healthcare journey, has really helped me like put my big girl panties on and be an adult. Like, I feel like such an adult. I make my own appointments. I go see my primary care doctors. I go see my gynecologists. I go see, the specialists that they send me to. Girl, I pick up my own prescriptions if I have some. Like, that's some adult shit. And I'm really proud of myself for that. And then also, too, I'm also proud that I've been able to coach myself through the anxieties of all of that, too. Because I'm not going to lie. Some of that stuff, having to go get a mammogram after your mother passed away from breast cancer, wildly wild experience and wildly anxiety inducing. Just let me tell you that. But then when I went through it, I was like, oh, it doesn't hurt. And then after I was done and the results came back, you're good. Like, whew, so, but things like that is important to me. Making sure I have a very proactive healthcare plan for myself, because that's a part of my adulthood. So these last two things are more of a spiritual nature. Like for the first one, I said spiritual maintenance. And then I also put music and laughter. And I kind of think those things go hand in hand, because music, laughter, spirituality, God, all that is kind of like one thing for me. And it's so interesting. Wow, this is making me teary-eyed, because God loves me, and God loves you too. But God, I'm God's favorite, okay? This is about me and my adulthood definition. God really loves me, and as of late, I've really been in tune with my spiritual maintenance and my spiritual practices. And the things that really connect me and make me closer and feel more closer to God and to the Nicole that God created me to be, it's like I love music. Like, music puts me there. It takes me there. It transcends all emotions for me. Music is very holy for me. It's very sacred for me. And I know some people think that only gospel music can get you there, but for me, it can be an instrumental. It could be a rap song. It could be the experience of going to a concert. Like, I love like live music. When I can literally, physically feel the music, it's a spiritual experience for me, and I love it. And I love, for me, that I am beginning to understand in my adulthood that God honors that as well. Because I think sometimes, especially when you grew up in the church like me, religion was very regimented about what God is, who God is, and what you're supposed to do as a God-fearing Christian or individual. Like what you're supposed to do and who you're supposed to be. And that definition never left room for me. And I always felt like I was the sinner or the outsider until I realized, like, honey, that ain't what God said. That's not what God said for you. That's what religion said. God ain't sent Jesus to make no religion, but that's another story for another day. All I'm saying is, as for me and my house, come on, scripture, we shall serve the Lord. But as for me and my house, spiritual maintenance is very important to me. And understanding those things that feed my spirit, like music, like being outside, like being by water, like deep breaths, like prayer, like fasting, like talking to my friends, like being in nature, like watching. Child, I be on the internet. My latest thing is watching these people that make aquariums and all these different exotic fishes and fish and stuff like that. Love it. Makes me feel close to God. I know it might sound weird to some people, but I'm just like, the creativity of God inspires me, which is why it goes back to like travel and exploration. When I see new shit outside that I ain't never seen before, it inspires the creativity in me. And I feel like when we're operating in our creative gifts, we are most like God, because that's who God is. God is love and God is creative. If the Bible says God spoke to nothingness and made something, that is creativity. Having an idea, which is tangibly nothingness, and then making it into something that you can see and you can experience or you can hear or you can feel. Like, if that's not God, I don't know what God is. I don't know. So my spiritual maintenance in my adulthood is very important to me, and making sure that I consume lots of music, that I laugh a lot, that I'm happy and I'm full of joy, and I exhibit those fruits of the spirit. That's a part of adulthood for me. So, I'm going to sit in that one for a little while. But before I get into my little zone, because that really put me in the zone, what is your definition of adulthood? Like, have you redefined it? Have you redefined your definition of adulthood? Like, where did your definition in the first place come from? And has it changed over the years? So I would love to continue this conversation in the comment section below. Also, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I have other videos coming, vlogs and sit down videos. So until next time, you guys, it's me, your girl, Nicole Denise, and we out here redefining adulthood for Black women, okay? Peace.